You know the exact moment the door clicks shut. It's never loud. It's quiet. The heavy, hollow quiet that settles over the hallway like a dropped blanket. You stand there holding your phone. You watch their name fade from the screen. You replay the last conversation in your head, the way their voice went flat, the way they packed their things like they were defusing a bomb. Why did they leave so easily? Was I just too much? Do I even matter anymore? Am I the problem? You are not failing at love. Honestly, you are not. Every couple that has ever loved fiercely has stood exactly in that hollow space, wondering if the person walking out was ever really there at all. But here is the truth nobody tells you about the person who walks away. They don't leave because the love ran out. They leave because the pressure to feel it became unbearable. By the end of this video, you will understand exactly what happens inside an avoidance nervous system after they cross that threshold, why their silence is rarely what it looks like, and how to navigate the aftermath without losing your own center. Let's get into it. Most couples believe that when an avoidant walks out, it means the bond was fragile. They think it was a clean break, a quiet confirmation that the relationship wasn't real. But the real truth is completely different. When safety leaves a relationship, the love doesn't disappear. It goes underground. Your partner's nervous system is reading you long before their mind can catch up. What looks like cold detachment is usually someone who has been emotionally flooded for so long that stepping back is the only protection they have left. Attachment science shows us this clearly. The avoidant doesn't withdraw from love. They withdraw from the terror of being consumed by it. And here's what changes everything. You cannot love someone out of their deactivation. Trying to chase them only tells their nervous system that you are another demand. But stepping into calm presence tells their nervous system something entirely different. It tells them you are finally safe to return to. Not louder conversations, not more compromising, not scheduling a weekly check-in, but two people who actually feel safe enough to be honest with each other for the first time in years. Once you understand that dynamic, everything that follows makes perfect sense. 1. The illusion of instant relief. Most couples assume that the moment an avoidant creates distance, they feel immediate peace. Most people in relationships picture them breathing easier, finally free from the weight of expectations. But the deeper psychological truth here is far more human. The initial relief is real, but it is only the nervous system exhaling after holding its breath for years. It is not joy. It is just the absence of panic. When they finally step away, their mind tells them they have escaped. But their body is quietly registering something else. Look at how this sounds in real life. One response sends a frantic text the next day. They demand closure, while the other's walls are still rising. The other response simply leaves space. They focus on grounding themselves. They let the silence breathe without taking it as a personal rejection. And when you do that, the walls between you start to come down without either of you having to say a word. 2. The quiet inventory. And this is the one most couples never figure out. After the first wave of relief fades, most avoidants fall into a predictable pattern of mental replay. They start reviewing the relationship like a case file. They isolate the good moments from the heavy ones. But beneath the surface, the emotional system is actually running a different program. It is not cold calculation. It is unacknowledged grief wearing a mask of logic. The truth is, Their nervous system is trying to process the longing they refuse to feel while staying close. You don't drift apart because you stop caring. You drift apart because you stop being safe to care in front of someone. Picture the contrast. One response fills their journal with complaints. They list every flaw to justify the distance. The other response sits with a single memory. They notice how the other person's voice sounded when they laughed. They admit, quietly, "I miss the version of me they used to bring out." That's when the distance stops feeling like a punishment and starts feeling like a mirror. 3. The numbness that masks the grief. Most couples believe an avoidance silence means pure indifference. Most people in relationships assume that because they are not crying, the bond has simply dissolved. But what is actually happening is emotional conservation. The nervous system does not have an infinite supply of tears. It shuts down when the overflow feels dangerous. Avoidants often intellectualize pain because feeling it fully used to cost them too much. Their brain is quietly registering, "If I start falling apart, I will never rebuild." Consider the difference in how this plays out. One person sends a long paragraph explaining why they need space. They keep it clinical. They avoid the raw emotion entirely. The other person allows themselves one quiet moment of honesty. They text, "I am overwhelmed right now, but I am not gone." This isn't a trick for avoiding conflict. This is what it looks like when someone has learned to protect their peace without losing their humanity. And that's when your partner stops feeling like a problem to manage and starts feeling like a person to come home to. 4. The slow return of the unspoken longing. Here's the part no one talks about. After weeks or months of distance, a quiet shift occurs. Most avoidants start noticing patterns everywhere. They hear a song that reminds them of your dynamic. They catch themselves smiling at an inside joke only the two of you understood. This is not just nostalgia. It is attachment memory reconsolidating. The nervous system finally realizes that distance did not fix the dysregulation. It just postponed it. The pull returns, not as a desperate need, but as a steady, grounding draw toward familiarity. She feels it in the quiet mornings. He feels it when the apartment feels too heavy. They feel it when they realize no one else ever held space for their contradictions quite like you did. Look at how this unfolds. One person ignores the ache completely. They date casually to outrun the pull. The other person leans into the realization. They stop running from the quiet weight. They admit to themselves, "I did not need space. I just needed to learn how to come back." That's the shift that turns a relationship that feels like a negotiation into one that feels like a refuge. 5. The courage to cross back over. Most couples think reconciliation requires a dramatic apology or a sweeping lifestyle change. Most people wait for a cinematic moment that proves the love is real, but the actual turning point is far quieter. It is the moment an avoidant realizes that vulnerability is not a threat to their independence. It is the bridge back to it. The nervous system finally learns that relying on someone does not erase you. It anchors you. What looks like stonewalling is usually someone who has been so overwhelmed for so long that silence is the only shelter they have left. Until they realize the shelter is also a cage. Watch how this plays out in real life. One person waits for guarantees. They demand a new contract before lowering the guard. The other person simply shows up differently. They offer a steady presence. They say, "I am not here to fix you. I am just here if you want to walk back in." But here's what nobody explains. This isn't a communication hack. This is just what two emotionally mature people naturally do when they stop treating love as a test and start treating it as a practice. And when you do that, the emotional drift stops, and what is left is a quiet, unshakable safety. This is not a checklist for winning someone back. It is an invitation to stop chasing the ghost of who they used to be and start becoming the kind of partner who creates the space they can actually return to. When you internalize this, you stop reacting to the silence and start understanding it. Your nervous system calms down. Your presence deepens. And your partner will feel the difference before you have even said a word. Real intimacy doesn't start when you find the right person. It starts when you decide to become one.